Hey, this is Dylan Andrews with Summit School of Guitar, and in this video I want to show you how you can solo up and down the fretboard easily with something called single string training. Now, when most people practice their scales, they do it vertically. Like this, okay, from 6 to 1, and then 1 to 6. And there's nothing wrong with this. You should absolutely train your scales this way. But if you only train them vertically, this way, then when you go to take a solo, guess what? You're going to solo pretty much only this way, and it's going to be hard for you to be able to move across and up the fretboard really quickly because you haven't practiced it that way. One of the best ways to train yourself on playing horizontally up and down is by doing single string training. And single string training is just by soloing with 1 or 2 strings at a time. Now there are 2 ways to find out where you can play in a scale or in a key up and down the fretboard. I'm going to show you the first way, and then we're going to get into the second way, which is the one I find to be a lot better. So the first way, we're going to be in the key of G for this, all right? And what we're going to do is the first way you can do this is just by knowing what notes are in the key of G. So the key of G has notes G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. So if you find those notes, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, now you're all up and down. Now you're all up and down the fretboard, okay? But the problem with this is that when the key changes, now you have to think of a whole new set of notes. The second way of knowing this is through knowing your intervals. Now intervals, or another better term for this right now, scale degree, is just the distance from one note to another. In the major scale, it has intervals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the distance between all of these is a whole step, okay, except for 2 exceptions. So a whole step means 2 frets. So if I'm on the 1, I'm in the key of G, so the G note will be 1. I would go to the 2, which is a whole step up. Okay? Then up to the 3, which is another whole step, another 2 frets. So everything's a whole step except for 3 to 4 and 7 to 1. So when you're on a 7, you go a half step, 1 fret to get to 1. And when you're on a 3, you go a half step up, 1 fret to get to 4. So if we do this, I'm on a 1, then I go a whole step up, now I'm on the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And now I'm soloing up and down the fretboard with using the intervals. Now let's say that the key changes. The distances will still be the same. Let's say now we're in the key of F. Well, here's the 1, whole step to 2, whole step to 3, half step to 4, whole step to 5, whole step to 6, whole step to 7, half step to 1. And there you go. Now, that is all of the notes or intervals in the key of F. All right, before we go on, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. I would love to get this video out to as many guitar players to help them with this. So a way to practice this is first, once you have where all the notes and intervals are on the first string, you want to put a backing track on and then try to be able to solo with that first string. And then the next step is we go to the second string. So when you go to the second string, the first thing you need to find is the 1. Which here, we're in the key of G. All right, we'll be in the key of G rest of the time. This is on the 8th fret. So I can start ascending where I go 1, 2, 3, half step to 4, 5, 6, 7, half step to 1. But that leaves all of this down here, so we can go the scale descending. So here's the 1. So now we got to go to a 7, which is a half step. Whole step to 6, whole step to 5, whole step to 4, half step to 3. Then you'd want to memorize that and practice that to a backing track. Then the next step I find to be very helpful is to solo now with both strings 1 and 2. Because if you now go into string 3 and the string 4 and you don't review it all, by the time you come back to string 1, mostly it's going to be forgotten. So this is a way to review what you've done. All right, and then now we get to the 3rd string. Now the root for the 3rd string is actually open. This is the G string. So we start with the 1. Then we go up a whole step to the 2, whole step to the 3, half step to the 4, whole step to the 5, whole step to the 6, whole step to the 7, then a half step to the 1. And then you can keep going if you want to. All right. Then we get to the 4th string. So you would put on a backing track, solo with the 3rd string. Then on the 4th string, the root is going to be on the 5th fret. That's where the G is. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So you see the shapes are always going to be the same. It's the starting places that change. Then we go back to the 1, we go down a half step to 7, down a whole step to 6, down a whole step which is open to 5, and so on. Now we get to the A string. The root for this one is going to be on the 10th fret. So a G on the 10th fret right there. Now this one's already pretty high, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. But to reverse, we go 1, down a half step to 7, down a whole step to 6, down a whole step to 5, whole step to 4, half step to 3, and if you want to, hit the open string for the 2. All right, now you would solo maybe now with strings 3 or 5 and 4, or you could go back and do 4 and 3. However, you want to, but when you have 2 new strings that you've done, it's good to combine them. All right, and then lastly, we get to the 6th string. So the 3rd fret is where the G is on the 6th string. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, half step to the 4, whole step 5, 6, 7, and 1. And now in the key of G, you are able to find where all of them are. To become a great improviser, everything you do, you need to think in numbers. You need to, of course, know what note you're on, but the numbers are so much more valuable. You need to know that that was a 1, that was a 5, I want to hit the 6, I want to hit the 7. This is so much more valuable for 2 reasons. 1, no matter what key you're in, you're going to know where everything is. And number 2, every single interval has a specific emotion attached to it. So if you want to express something specific, you'll know exactly what to do in order to do that. But that is the single string training. This is something I train my students on all the time, and it works really, really great. Just remember that the key to becoming really good at guitar is not how much you practice, it's how consistently you practice. So make sure you practice consistently, and I will see you at the next video.